a testimony of the man God handles. And he don't have to wait until God bless him. He thinking about the things that he already done. And I think there's some more of us in here. If we just look back and think about where God brought us from, we'll bring out and start running too. Come on. I can't run, but there's times I want to run. When I think about the goodness and the mercies of God, come on, talk. When I feel by the graveyard and see I should have been late, come on, talk to me. When I ride by the hospital and say it could have been, come on, talk to me. I want to run there. Can I get back to y'all and tell you God? This vision that was in a man's mind came into fruition over 100 years ago and is yet standing strong today. And you being here is a testimony of how good God is. You ought to give him some praise for that. Some dreams die, y'all. And you know we do have some dream killers. But God has blessed some to stay in 100 years. Come on, give God some praise. And still going strong. Amen, amen. If you would give me about 25 more minutes here and we'll be up out of here. Turn with me in your Bibles to Luke chapter number 23. Luke chapter number 23. We're going to read verses 39 to 40. Luke 23, 39 to 43. Only God's grace, y'all.
Amen, amen.
Take for granted. It wasn't your money, it wasn't your good look, it wasn't your education, your status, but it was God's grace. Where would we be without God's? That's his unmerited favor. When you wasn't even worth it, he gave it to you. Are you there? Let us read Luke 23, 39 through 43. Are you there? Yes. Those of you that slow, just read my lips. And one of the malefactors, which were hanging, railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us. But the other answered, rebuked him, saying, Does not thou fear God, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? And we indeed just, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man hath done nothing amiss. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. Amen. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. For a few minutes, by aid of the Holy Spirit, I'd like to speak from this subject, giving up is not an option. Somebody repeat it, because somebody didn't hear me. It's not an option.
Give it up. Not an option.
I'm here revelation over what has transpired over 100 years ago, and just in awe of where this church is going and how it has been standing. Yet realizing that even in doing Christian work, you have a feeling of giving up sometimes. And I can believe this thought that was in the mind of the men and the women, the boys and the girls, to organize a church such as this caliber had gone through many terrible circumstances and trials. Knowing how people operate, understanding that people are fickle and some of them are phony. Oftentimes I can believe they wanted to give up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to give up and throw in the towel because it just didn't seem like it was going to become possible. But then they looked back over their lives and realized how far God had brought them. I can't help but believe that this church was born out of slavery. On the backs of those who were making far less money than we are even today.
Amen.
Didn't have the education that some of us have even today. But yet they persevered and realized that giving up wasn't even an option. Because they knew how good God was and how God had brought them through many dangers seen and unseen. And they just fortified themselves and galvanized one to another and said, let's move on. Let's do it even if it don't stand, because I just believe that somebody else will pick up the baton and run with it and carry it on. Can you believe that you are some of those baton runners? Somebody ought to give God some praise for that. You now have an opportunity to carry this church or set it in play that it can go another 100 years if the Lord delay his coming. And even today, empty some of the pews may be, we've got to keep it in our mindset that giving up isn't an option. Yeah, I understand. You say, well, what that got to do with me? Well, can I offer to you today that there is even somebody here in the church today that has a child that they just don't understand, that are doing wayward things, and they feel like they need to give up on them, but then giving up on their child is not an option. Yeah, maybe a husband or a wife, you've done all you could and all you can and seem like your doing is not good enough and you're ready to give up and throw in the towel. But that still small voice have spoken to you and told you giving up is not an option. Maybe you're on that job and you prayed for this job and you now have the best job you've ever had, only to be catching hell on every side. You don't understand why folks are treating you that way and why they're handling you like that. You're better than that, and the money is not really even worth it. But you come to understand that God has strategically placed you there on that job for a purpose. And that purpose could be just to win that one individual that's causing you all the hate. And you come to the resolve that giving up is not even enough. Now in the church that you love so dearly, and everybody in here seems as if they are against you. You made some mistakes along the way, and you missed some marks along the way, and it seems like everybody wants to count you down or count you out, and you just made up in your mind that if I have to be on the pews, I'm going to be here in it. Because giving up is not an option. Maybe you are struggling to come into church. You're struggling to be a part of a church. You're struggling to get out of the streets, and your friends are holding you back and telling you, why are you going to that place? Because they're acting worse than you are. Nothing but a bunch of hypocrites down there. Why should you go down there? But your mind keep holding you that you ought to run on and see what the end is going to be. So you come to the reservation that you're not going to give up, that you're going to keep on listening to that voice, because giving up is not an option. But then on the flip side of it, there are some who have decided that they're not going to deal with it any longer. Yes, sir. And it's so sad that we live in a society now where folks would rather pick up guns and find their way out opposed to getting on their knees and just having a little talk with Jesus. My grandma said just a little talk with Jesus will make everything all right. But they decided that they're going to do the opposite. You have young girls who wants to please individuals who tell them they look the best and they want to give them the best, but find themselves messed up and tied up. But I stopped by to speak to that individual that giving up is not an option, because no matter how far you've come down that road called life, God is yet in control. Do anybody know that God is still in control? I don't care where you may find yourself in life right now, God is yet in control. Looking at TV would want to make you give up and get up out of here, because it seems like trouble is next door, and pretty soon it's going to knock on your door. But you learn that giving up is not an option. I'm going to stay on my bended knees. Giving up is not an option. So today, my brothers and sisters, I bid you, I call upon you to stand, even if you have to stand by yourself. Our text today comes from a young man by the name of Luke, who thought it not robbery to allow us to take a journey with him as he talks about a young man that was hanging on the cross. And Luke, the writer of this text, he's a great physician at the time, but he was an individual that was in touch with other individuals. And he saw the individual walk, and he knew that he had to make this thing somewhat personal in order to reach other individuals. That's why our writing from the book of Luke is unlike any other writings in the Synoptic Gospel. In fact, Luke is the only one that tells us what this young man does there on the cross. The others mention it, but does not go into details like Luke does. Luke would have you to know that even though there were 3 people on the cross, 2 of them were sinners who were guilty by doing the acts that they had done, but yet there was one that was hanging on the cross that had done nothing at all. Luke wanted us to know that even though those 2 malefactors that were on the cross were having a to shut up. If I can paraphrase it, he tells them, watch what you're saying, boy. Because we are hanging here justly. We've done what they said we've done, but this man has done nothing. Yeah. Because can I share 3 things with you and I get up out of here because it's getting late and I smell it? Luke,
Point it out. Point it out.
let me say this before I go there. Women, you ought to celebrate Brother Luke, because it's Luke who talks about the women and give them credible roles in the church. It's Dr. Luke who makes you